ground. We're riding out this town, 'cause we both know there's more to life than this. Would you leave it all behind? Rewind, rewind. Would you take me back in time to find peace of mind? Would you leave it all behind? 'Cause I can't keep going like this. Never catch a grip. Would you leave it all behind? Rewind. Would you leave it all behind?
Hey, now I gotta fix that. I accidentally put on the wrong video there, and that is not the video that we want to have. We are doing lights out today. We are here on 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to all of my friends here in America. I'm your founder and commish, Mr. Nate. We're here to talk NCAA, college football 25, I should say. And let me welcome in my guy right here to, what would it be on y'all's screen? To your right, to my, I don't know. You see him right there. Mr. Maniac, the owner of the Deuce, which will soon be the Dynasty. Mr. Maniac, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, man.
Ready to talk some NCAA?
Yeah, I'm excited about all this, man. It's a lot of stuff.
Before we do, you got to tell the people what we had for the 4th of July.
Man, I had some homemade fajitas, and I'm telling you, they were the bomb. And not only that, to top it all off, there was some bacon wrapped cream cheese poppers. And a little slice of pecan pie. So
that is the absolute best. We had crawfish etouffee, such a New Orleans sort of 4th of July. Crawfish etouffee, some white beans, some fried shrimp. It was pretty good. I did not get to eat as well as my buddy did here, but we're going to talk some NCAA. Let me just tell you, I think I've heard this is 80,000 words for this blog post. And so if you want the immense, absolute, every comma, every semicolon, which I still don't know how to properly use. If you want that, then you need to go read the deep dive. Also, there's about 100 creators out there that have videos that walk you through every single intimate detail. That is not what we're going to do. We will create initial sessions as soon as the game drops about specific points in this, which I think will be more helpful. I'm also not going to sit here and read to you or tell you what you can read yourself. We're going to hit some highlights. We're going to give our reaction. And we're going to talk about some Madden, listen to me, some NCAA. I keep saying NCAA because that's what it was called for so long. It's College Football 25 Deep Dive. Let me go ahead and play this on the screen first, and then we'll come back to it.
EA Sports College Football 25, back for another deep dive. This time we're talking about everyone's favorite mode, Dynasty.
oh yeah.
Online Dynasty in College Football 25 can accommodate up to 32 teams, and you can play with friends for up to 30 seasons. Today, we'll take a closer look at the new 12-team college football playoff, recruiting, the transfer portal, and a ton of customization options to make your program unique. College football has seen seismic changes over the past few years. And in EA Sports College Football 25, you can experience this new landscape while building your program the way you want. The 2024 season marks the debut of the new 12-team college football playoff, and you can play it first in the game months before the real thing. You could be the first coach to lead your school through the new 12-team playoff and hoist the college football playoff trophy. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and in a world of unlimited transfers, managing your dynasty roster has never been more important. Evaluate your needs and opportunities for talent upgrades at the start of each season. The best way to build a powerhouse is to recruit through the high school ranks. So let's fill up your recruiting board. Each year, over 3,500 high school recruits are generated from all over the country, with certain regions representing real-world hotspots for blue-chip talent, like South Florida and Metro Atlanta. Do research to find recruits that best fit your program and determine who you can realistically land. A recruit's interest in your school is decided by 14 different pitch grades like proximity to home, playing time, and brand exposure. So you'll need to discover how your program's pitch grades align with your recruit's desires, in addition to scouting for talent. Some players have a deal breaker requirement, and if your program cannot provide, the recruit will lock you out. Deal breakers also drive a player's decision to enter the transfer portal. Monitor at-risk players and get one last chance to convince your favorites to stay. Track your recruits as they narrow down their top schools. Pitch a prospect to gain more interest, and then set up school visits when the timing is right. It's crucial to remain in their top 10, then 8, then 5 to finally be part of their top 3. As a recruit trims down to the top 8, you can attempt to increase your appeal. If your school doesn't have exactly what the prospect is looking for, you can try to sway their opinion in your favor. Plan visits that elevate a recruit's experience, like pairing a quarterback visit with a wide receiver visit at the same time. It's crucial to keep an eye on the transfer portal when it opens in the offseason to round out your roster with talent you couldn't land from recruiting. Add portal prospects to your board just like you would with recruiting, but expect quick decisions as transfers have a shorter timeline to land a new home. Conference realignment is a hot topic in college football. And with custom conferences in EA Sports College Football 25, Dynasty is yours to control. See what a 20-team super conference might look like, or revert to the traditional conference alignment. Shape the conference size and membership and set custom conference rules, set up divisions, and more. Once you've settled your conference options, it's time to select your team. Begin with a highly ranked team and dominate at the top with repeat recruiting and playoff success. Or build from the ground up with a smaller program and prove you have what it takes to go from an unknown to postseason favorite. We can't talk about your dynasty without talking about your starting job. Start as an offensive or defensive coordinator and climb the ranks to head coach, or take over a program as the head coach right away. Choose from one of the 3 base coaching types to start. Your coach type will determine what coaching skill tree you start with. From there, the abilities you acquire as you progress will determine what kind of coach you develop into. Unlock additional skill trees with better abilities. Or, if you build up multiple skill trees, you can unlock hybrid trees that leverage a more diverse skill set. The coaching carousel is an important part of every coach's journey. Whether you're the head man at your dream school or working your way up, the carousel is your way of fielding offers from other programs. Head coaches in Dynasty can actively manage their coordinator positions. So if one of your staff takes a job elsewhere, or you decide to cut ties for other reasons, you can use the carousel to replace them. Remember, even the greatest coaches need support, and every coach has a unique skill tree. It's important to think about how you want to build your staff, whether that's doubling down on your existing strengths to max out your benefits, or seeking out balance for a well-rounded staff. Choose wisely. The decisions you make here will matter to your program's success and your coach's progression. The benefits of coach talents are stackable. So if your head coach and defensive coordinator have the same ability, the impact for that ability will be greater. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into Dynasty mode in EA Sports College Football 25. To make it game day every day.
All right. There you have it. I guess I need to get my bundle completely ordered. All right, the video does not follow the same train as the blog, and so we're going to sort of do this a little bit different. What's up, Randy? What's up, Kev? What's up, Bird? What's up, Daniel? Good to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us a little bit. Hopefully Maniac can finish this and go play some shooters. This doesn't take 18 hours to get through because I do have to work tomorrow. So again, I'm not covering everything. I think some of the stuff is not super applicable for how we're viewing it. We're talking, if it's you and 10 of your friends in an online dynasty or 31 of your friends like the Deuce is going to be, how would you approach what would be the most important portions of this deep dive that we're going to get into? So like coaching carousel, that kind of stuff, not crazy important. So let's just start where the coach starts, where this blog starts right here. And it's just right off the top, building your coach, selecting how you're going to build your coach. And is it crazy to me, Maniac? And I want you to tell me what you're thinking already. Arden, my bundle today, your co-host is Maniac. Yeah, good point, Bird. I cannot read and talk at the same time. That's a skill that I got to get better at. I can't type and talk at the same time either. Build your coach. It is absolutely crazy that the customization, the opportunities that you have of how you start as a coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, and then the coaching trees of selecting what archetype is going to give you what talent tree. And then once you build that talent tree up, it opens up other talent tree. It's already better than Madden by far, by leaps and bounds, like 20 times. I just think it's all really neat. And I think it's awesome that there's not one way to do it. Like there's not going to be these videos that, well, there probably will because guys like those clickbaity head titles, but there's not one way to build a coach to win in this game. There are going to be multiple different ways that you can approach it. And I just think it's going to make it really realistic, give a lot of like seasoning, I would call it. A lot of different types of coaches are going to make up your online dynasty, and it should be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I like the one point where they talked about that they reached out to a lot of former coaches, a lot of current coaches. They sat down with them and had these full discussions with them about how they build their team, how they approach recruiting, how they do this and that. And they came away with, every coach was not great at everything, but there was like one or two things that they were able to kind of hang their hat on and able to build their program around that, and they you can just see like from all the different things that and right now we've only got like a little tidbit of just what is all going to be available, but just the simple fact that you're able to build those coaching trees, and it relates to saying a hybrid tree where you can cross different things in to that coaching tree that you can maximize things that maybe you're strong at. Like say, for instance, if I'm really strong at a running game, I can build my program around the running game, maybe like a more of a pro style offense or whatever. I can build my program around that, or if I want to open it a little bit more wide open with a lot of more shotgun type things, then maybe I can build those coaching trees and the archetypes or whatever to that position or that style. So like you said, it's already 10 times, 100 times better than what Madden's got right now.
It's crazy.
And it's such a shame. But man, that's just one of the few things that I'm so excited about with this game. It's I've got to reel in my excitement because I don't want something to disappoint me. But man, there are so many good points and so many things to look forward to in this game, and I'm just I'm ready to get it.
No single formula to reach these statuses, like no one way to get there, and then no coach can be great at everything. I just love these ideas. I also really like that you can stack. And so if you're a defensive-minded coach and you get a good defensive coordinator, you can stack those trees, those abilities, those boosts, whatever kind of comes with it. You can build a team. Like if you're a defensive-minded head coach, you can build a defensive team. If you're an offensive-minded coach, You can build an offensive team. If you're sort of a well-rounded coach, you can kind of put those pieces together. I just think everything here is super good, and you can really build the team that, with your staff, accomplishes the goals that you need to accomplish. Here's the one thing I don't like, and there's not many things I don't like that I'm reading so far, is my light just freaks out back there. I have no clue what it's doing tonight. But can you reset these? Like, if I start out as a motivator, am I ever able to reset to be a recruiter or a technician? Or are you locked once you start it and you got to like start a whole new, brand new head coach? And if someone does that, right, how, like in Madden right now, when someone leaves a CFM, the next guy's got to start over from ground zero, 0 coach, right? And if you're 3 seasons deep, they're way behind the learning curve. Mm-hmm. What happens in NCAA when somebody has to bounce and you replace them and you're 3 seasons deep? How do you make up that ground to where you're on even ground? I haven't heard anybody speak to that. We also aren't quite sure sort of how these talent trees affect the game, but those are interesting questions that I absolutely do have. But I love the archetypes. I love the talent trees. I love that you can sort of pick and choose of how they're going to work for you, and exactly how you can stack those with how you build your staff. All super cool things.
Yeah. And I think I read something too where it said there's going to be like 4 different tiers to each one of those. So it's I don't remember exactly how it put it. It seemed like it was like on one of them that it talked about like tiers when you unlock them. Say for instance, a fast tempo type coach. Tier 1 was like they labeled it, I think they named it like battery pack or something like that. Mm-hmm. And each tier brought something new to add on to that one particular tree or the branch of the coaching tree or whatever. So to me, again, that it's not just like you get plus 2 or plus 3 to speed for your linebackers, and there may be some of that stuff, but I don't see from their examples like the battery pack where your offense gains 1 for all their energy or whatever for the games. Then the next level of that is caught napping. I think the defense is once you get into that particular zone or whatever, the defense is a little bit delayed trying to get their call in or whatever. And then the level next to the level of that one is on heels, and then the next level to that is tipped hand. But again, there's so many. It's so integral. Like there's so many different things. Just one, gonna have to get the game in hand to figure all this stuff out. But just from that one example, just to me tells me this is a deep type of thing that they've added to the game, that it's not just like what Madden has where you just add a couple points to an attribute and you're done. There's a lot more integral thought process going to this particular part of the game that you're going to be able to advance and kind of build up throughout the dynasty. So again, it's just something I just can't wait to get a hold of, just to start digging into.
I hate tier 2. I hate tier 4. Both of those are stupid. They did really good on the rest. Those 2 are absolutely goofy as hell. Like, why are you punishing my defensive players to be delayed after the snap because they're looking at the sideline because somebody has a tier? And then why are you showing my shell coverage like that? Again, I hate those 2. Rest are fine. I think those are totally fair. Not these big momentum shifts, but those 2 feel really stupid if you ask me. The coordinators are going to be interesting to me just from a league standpoint. And luckily, I don't have to figure it out. Maniac's job is to figure it out. But how do leagues handle coordinators and keeping that as fair as they possibly can? Or is it not going to be that big of a deal? That's just going to be really interesting to me to find out how they go. I think I talked about this a little bit, but Oh, I started to, and then I got sidetracked. One of the things I hate is this idea that you can start in a dynasty as an offensive or defensive coordinator, but you still play both sides of the ball. You still do all the recruiting. I hate that. I know I'm probably in the minority in that. I just don't like that. I think it'd be super cool. But like if I pick an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, I'm locked in on that side of the ball. I can only recruit players on that side of the ball. You start out at a small college on whatever side of the ball you want, and you got to work your way up to unlock those things. Maybe not an online dynasty. I get why that would not work, but like an offline, fun, streamable series for YouTube, that would be an absolute blast. And the fact that like it doesn't really change anything sort of sucks. I'll be interested to get it in my hand to see, can you still like only play the offense if you choose? Like, is there an option to sort of make it that way? I doubt it. But I just wish it was that way so that you could, I mean, you went this deep with it. Why not let me start out as a small school offensive coordinator, and I have to work my way up, and I can only recruit and go after players on the offensive side of the ball. I can only play the offensive side of the ball, and I have to look for jobs. And you know what I'm saying? It's just, I just think it would be absolutely outstanding. Not covering the coaching carousel just because I think in an online dynasty, it will not matter. I'm not really going to talk a ton about managing your staff because I'm not sure how leagues are going to handle this. Did you have any thoughts as you went through this? I think this is one of the areas you got to get the game in hand, but did you have any thoughts about how you're going to allow firing, hiring, and the whole coaching coordinator carousel when it comes to an online dynasty?
I have thought about it. I really haven't put anything down because, like you just said, got to get the game in hand. I don't know if because it talks about your offensive coordinators getting hired away. We've never had that in Madden. When you have an offensive coordinator, they're there until you fire them. So now, as your offensive coordinator, you have a great season on your offensive side. He may get hired away at one of the CPU rival teams in your conference now. And so if that happens, you're obviously going to have to allow guys to replace that offensive coordinator. Now, if it's something where they don't get fired unless you fire them, then I think that'll be a little bit more easier to put like limits. Like, okay, you can't, once you get your offensive coordinator, you can only change, so often, whatever the criteria is for that. But I think like if you go in and this game is what I've understood on some of those through the blog, if the CPU hires away your coordinators, then you're obviously going to have an opportunity to sign some, and we may have to have like a similar to like a free agency window we have in Madden, where you got one day to hire your coordinator or whatever, 24 hours before we advance to the next round. It opens up to the rest of the guys or something like that. I don't know, but again, it'll just have to be where we get the game in hand. And talking about the offensive coordinator playing that just particular part, if I remember right, in NCAA 14, we had the ability to just play the side of the ball that you were running, if I'm not mistaken. The problem that I think was found, like if you were playing offensive coordinator and you needed to win the game, 9 out of 10 times your CPU defensive team sucked it up, and a lot of times cost you the game. You either had to score 70 points to try to win the game, or you lose it, and then you lose maybe some opportunity for your
sounds like
your
real life.
Yeah, that is true. I think maybe like a workaround. I was just kind of thinking about this. The workaround would be to if you wanted to experience that, you could play the offensive side, and then just I'm assuming they're going to have a sim to the next possession or whatever in the game. So you might be able to do that. You know, if you wanted
Yeah, but
to experience
recruiting's so big, and since you have to recruit for the whole team, it just sort of takes so it doesn't make sense, right? You're only doing half of the job to have a realistic, as an offensive coordinator, how would I be to work my way up? So, look, I think it's one of those things we got to get the game in hand and see. One of the questions I do have that I haven't heard anybody talk about, but we have 3,500 players that get added to the game every single season. How many coaches are out there, right? There's 180 teams, randomly 3 coaches per team. You know, do we see that many coaches? Somebody in the chat can go do the math, but is that many coaches out there? Is there half of that many coaches? Like in Madden right now, if you try to hire and fire coordinators, there's like 8 dudes. So is it that limited, or did they go that in depth with it as well? Big question to get our hands on the game and find out.
Right, yeah, and that's all good points.
Stage recruiting, I really enjoyed this a ton. So we're going to really speak a lot about players recruiting, that kind of thing. I thought the stage recruiting was awesome, from discovery, pitch, and close. Just gives you 3 very distinct stages to do it in, and it's so in depth, and there's so many ways that you can attack it. It was one of the areas of the old NCAA games I just didn't enjoy. You would put in all the time, energy, and effort into something. Sorry, I thought I heard something. My grandbaby's here, so I'm waiting for the wife to tell me she needs help putting her in bed. But there's also like 100 fireworks going off outside. But anyway, and then somebody would just swoop in and steal somebody from you last second. And you felt sort of powerless in doing that. And this new way of recruiting is just going to open up so many different styles, opportunities, and having those 3 distinct areas: discovery, really finding the players that you're interested in, pitching them, and making sure that there's like hard pitches and soft pitches. You can talk to parents, you can get on social media, you can DM them. There's like all kinds of things that you can do. And then that close, like building up to this thing that you have to now pick the proper way to close them, and you can lose somebody in the last moment. And I love this idea of deal breakers. So kids will have things that just won't work for them. And whether you break them during recruiting or you break them while you're playing, they may hit the transfer portal. I think that's going to really revolutionize the way that recruiting has handled in NCAA in the past and how it feels here now. The more ways that you can attack recruiting and build your own custom recruiting plan and see how it kind of measures up against the other recruiting plans in your league is just going to be a really great strategy and a lot of fun to see how people build out, because there's more stuff that matters and more ways that you can attack it that you can shake a stick at. And so it's going to be one of my favorite ways to watch people attack. The other thing is just like with 32 owners, which we've never had before. I think the top was 16, right? So we've doubled that. Good luck. Good luck going after the 8 5-stars in the entire. And that'll be another interesting, like who doesn't go after 5 stars because they want to put all their energy and effort into 4 and 3 stars and get the bulk of that, right? Like it's just going to be really neat to watch how people attack recruiting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like what is the recruitment board look like. Like you said, is it just going to be like 8 5 stars total that are available? Is it going to be is it going to be pretty wide open? Maybe there's like, say for instance, there's 30 something 5 stars or I don't know.
It's 3,500 players, so it better be a bunch, I suppose.
Yeah, it's going to be a big pool. Like I mean. This is something that we've never got to play around with before. I mean, you look at Madden rosters that we've dealt with before. They're putting in whatever 700 guys or whatever, and it's about to melt down the game. We're talking about 3,500 players, and that's not just one season. That's each season getting added to the recruiting board. So that's going to be. I mean, when you look at it from a standpoint of a dynasty owner, playing in a Dynasty, that is like the meat and potatoes of the Dynasty team, the program. That's where, more than just slapping numbers down and walking away. I think the way they're talking about this is you're really going to have to approach the recruiting process with determination, and you're actually going to have to spend some time with it. It's not going to be just do this, that, set it. Because if you do, I've got a feeling you're going to be one of the people that's going to like, well, I didn't get hardly any signings. All I got was like 2- and 3-star guys that signed. So I think it's not going to be over demanding, but I also think that it's going to be a little bit more to it than what guys may be anticipating. And just kind of a little plug, this is another reason why we're just going to advance 2 times a week, Sundays and Wednesdays. So that gives guys ample opportunity to, one, schedule games, get your recruiting done, because it's going to be a very vital part of your program. And if you skip on it, you're probably going to be like in the 2nd or 3rd season. I think I might, step down because my team stinks or whatever. Well, I think you're going to have to put a little time and effort. And again, that's the reason why the 2 advances. So it's not just like, okay, we're advancing every 48 hours and I can't get my recruiting in. There's no excuses. Get that in. But back to talking about the recruiting, I think it's massive. If you really look at it, again, you think of 3,500 players every season. And then from what I saw from the screenshots, it looks like you got 35 slots. Each team has 35 slots for recruitment. So I don't know if that can change with maybe your coaching archetype. Maybe you get more slots for recruits or for scholarships to offer. So that's going to be interesting to see once we get the game in hand, if that's something. And I've kind of played around with an idea. I don't know how it would work, but I think it would be kind of cool. If guys break the rules or they're just complete unsportsmanlike, and the board says, we're slapping them with an infraction or whatever, you lose a scholarship for the next off season or whatever. So I think that would be kind of cool in a way. I'm sure the person that would be messing up and getting the infraction probably wouldn't think it's cool, but I also think it's something that would kind of tie into the game, make it feel real, even with you breaking a rule or doing something wrong like that. So, but man, there's so much to it. Like I said, it's full, man. I mean, like you said, discovery, pitch, and the close. Just in those 3 topics right there, let you know that there is 3 very distinct stages of the recruiting process. So.
Yeah, and once the game drops, I think we'll do streams just about specific elements like that, like the different stages that you go through. I love recruiting pipelines too. I think Madden needs to take note on all this stuff. I knew it wouldn't look exactly the same for Madden, but right now you see 6 quarterbacks get drafted from LSU in a draft. It's like, all right, that doesn't even make sense, right? There's not 6 quarterbacks on an LSU team, but wouldn't it be neat if schools produced what they produce in the NFL now, right? For LSU, right? Quarterbacks here lately, top tier quarterbacks, wide receivers, linebackers, DBs, DBU. Yeah. Wouldn't it be neat if Madden had some type of time? But I love recruiting pipelines, 50 pipelines. So depending on where in the country that you're recruiting from, you're going to see a large amount of players come from that with a specific player type and style. I think that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I think, too, tying into that, if I read right or understood right, like you're going to have to make the inroads to secure that pipeline, too. When you take over a program, you got to get to where you're able to make the connection with that pipeline to your program. Maybe I read too much into it. Maybe I misread something, but I think I saw or heard something to that effect, like, you don't just step in and you got that pipeline. You have to make that connection somehow through the game that, this is the area where I'm trying to pipeline talent into my program from, say, East Texas. East Texas has been kind of known for, I think, quarterbacks and stuff. So stuff like that. Maybe you dip into that pipeline to try to get your next quarterback for your program. Or again, like you said, we could. Man, I get to talking. I'll talk all night long, and this will be a 4-hour show. But man, it's exciting.
3,500 players, lots of time to dig deep into that. You're going to find some gems, those who are willing to put in the time, and the content opportunities. It's going to explode. I heard somebody say this on Twitter, and I completely agree. You're going to see content creators just explode with this game, and hopefully Madden continues to take note and gives us more and more stuff. Hopefully there's a connection here somewhere, somehow, and the content opportunities are just going to be absolutely endless. And I think those are really, really great things. I love also this idea. We sort of touched on it a little bit. This is the scouting portion, the discovery portion of how this happens. And then you got to put together a pitch. And I love having soft sells and hard sells. And if you miss on that, if you hit on that, hey, you get penalties, you get boost, all depending on your coach archetype, your coordinator archetype, and how you build out those coaches. That's going to be great. But the one I really thought was just awesome, that it sort of adds on to each other as you go through this recruiting cycle, but the opportunity to close on a player and have to come with the right type of pitch and how you're going to pitch that player is just such a neat way, a realistic way, but a really neat way to build that out. And it all comes to this point of offering a scholarship. So building that initial board, getting to know that player, finding what interests them, what fits for you, your pipeline, how those things intersect, and identifying, as Maniac said, those 35 targets, and then bringing them in for visits and talking to the family or spending your hours looking at their social media. So many cool things that you're going to be able to do. And then you have to close it. There's got to be a pitch to close it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and looking at the closing, the pitches that it gave the example on the screenshot, you may get all that way, and all of a sudden you unlock, not unlocked, but maybe revealed what the player is looking for, and all of a sudden you realize my program is not going to fit to his style.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's where you're going to see, just say, for instance, like LSU and Texas, that's our teams that we're going to be using. And we've both made the pitch to the same guy. We've unlocked things, and all of a sudden, but this guy is from, like right on the border of Texas and Louisiana, but his heart is in Louisiana, and something, his parents live in Louisiana, or something crazy like that. I don't know if it's all that, but there's going to be something that points to him saying, I'm looking more at LSU than Texas. And so then I have the opportunity to try to persuade him and say, hey, look, being close to home ain't all it's cut out to be, so come over here to the University of Texas, but you're pitching like, no, you're a mama's boy type of thing. You want to stay close to home to mama. So again, those two things that, and again, I'm probably like saying more than what's in the game, but you can start letting your imagination go wild. And so there, again, it creates a little bit of an off-season rivalry even between us two, because hey, we're going after this quarterback. He's the next Joe Montana or Dan Marino or whatever, that we're trying to get for our program, and we're both fighting for him. And but you're going to unlock those things that saying, the whole time I'm saying, like, I'm only hitting like 3 out of his top things that he's wanting, and all of a sudden you're over here and you got like 6 of the top things that he wants. So I've got a lot of work cut out for me, and then I've got to make the choice. Am I going to push to try to get him, or am I going to go ahead and just say, you know what, this is not too big of a hill for me to climb to try to get him persuaded to come over here. So LSU, congratulations.
This next thing makes me realize why Nick Saban retired, and this is not a complaint, but man, the game is so in depth. It becomes a second job to sort of manage. I'm interested to see how well this flows together, how many things you can sort of sim when you don't have the time for, because this is crazy in depth, and that's the transfer portal. So you're going to have to manage. Do I re-recruit my staff every single season? Am I really putting most of my efforts into high school recruits? Am I doing a balanced attack of transfer portal plus high school recruits? It's going to be really big and key in how online dynasty teams build themselves. It also scares me because this feels like a lot of stuff that you have to balance and find time to do. And man, if you play any other game or enjoy any other sort of thing with other friends like shooters or Madden, you may not have time to do all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The portal is something new that was not obviously in the game back at NCAA 14. And so we saw what that has done to the landscape of college football nowadays. I mean, it's a integral part of how teams build their rosters each season now. And it's like you said, it's going to be interesting to see how much hands-on you have to get into this to keep players, to maintain players. Because you're probably going to have to, I'm assuming probably like every so often you're going to have to keep check. Like, say, your number 2 running back, you promised him that he was going to get, a third of the carries for the season, and all of a sudden, he's only got like 15 carries through 5 games. So now he's feeling like, you know what, you're not keeping your promise to me. So, now I'm starting to look at going to the portal. Is that going to be something, or is it just going to be all at the basic tail end of the season or the preseason? So, but I think from what I looked and I saw, it looked like it was going to be like something you're going to have to kind of keep tabs on to keep the guys happy. And so again, like you said, that is kind of scary in a way, because it's we're talking about a lot going into recruiting, digging through 3,500 created recruits to go through each season to find those gems and those ones that are going to build your program. Now you're talking about having to work the portal to keep guys, and then also, you know what? I've got this guy that's a 3rd string running back. Maybe he's not doing anything for me. You know what? I'm going to encourage him to hit the portal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to look at, there's this 4-star running back that says he's interested in my team. So now you got to make the choice whether to encourage this guy out the door. So then you make a scholarship opportunity open up for this other guy. So again, there's a lot of integral parts moving, it seems like, in the game. Again, it's very exciting, and then also, like you said, it's kind of scary, because I don't think we've ever even. I'm just being really, just truthfully honest. I don't know if there's ever been a sports game come out with the anticipation and the process that they've done to tell us what's all in this particular part of the game that is this in depth. I don't know if I've seen a baseball game, a football game, hockey game.
Maybe
anything.
head coach. Maybe the old head coach series. That was pretty in depth, and a related point, but not the point of this stream. They brought that guy over to help with Madden. So I have high hopes that they're seeing what NCAA is doing, and we can start seeing some massive changes for Madden in Madden 26, I think it would be. So we're not going to see it here in 25, but we may see it in 26. There's one line here for player progression that we'll talk about next that I absolutely love. In Dynasty, players will automatically progress their attributes and physical abilities. I love that. Go play well. Don't have guys just spam specific areas to build up a specific player. It's all going to happen automatically, randomly. I love it. There's a lot of stuff here that's exciting, from the different development types to the skill groups. So instead of specific abilities, a little bit like Madden, you sort of pick a group and you're going to get all the ones that are tied to that are going to pop up. I'm interested to see how the mental abilities work and sort of how they influence the game, and in what aspects do they influence the game. That's going to be really interesting to see. And it's going to be really hard to get an attribute, an ability up to platinum, but they are stackable, which I think is going to be really, really awesome. And from what I understand, most of them are not that overpowering, and none of them are a every time thing. Like, it is still a dice roll. It is still a chance of, it is not 100% this will happen every single time. And that's just going to make for these really unique players, which I think the NFL does still. I get it. Like, all players in the NFL are really good, so maybe that gap is a little less, but you see that gap really, really wide in college. I'm really interested, especially for the Deuce, 32 of us taking high-end teams. Do we start seeing by season 3 a bunch of these impact players, or do we see teams with, like, man, they don't have a great team, but they got 2 impact players that just absolutely rule?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And you talk about the mental abilities. I really do think that's kind of cool and exciting and really unknown. And I think that.
And they can't be upgraded or added. The player either has it or doesn't have it. You're stuck with it. Those can't be touched.
Yeah, so it's like the awareness, type of stuff that goes into the mental process of the player. Madden, you can do all those things. You can change their discipline ratings or whatever. You can do all that stuff. All that stuff's like kind of locked in the way it seems. So I don't know, but man, that's going to be. It seems like it's going to be a something that could make a very big impact on the players. You may have a guy that's got 99 speed, 99 acceleration, but he's he's dumb as rocks. He can't really figure out the game. He can't line up properly. And different stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be something that really ties into the game. But like I said, it's a lot of unknown. But man, it could be something that could really be uncharted territory for the player management. But man, it's kind of cool to even think about if it does all that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome to see how online dynasties, especially like the Deuce with 32 guys, how they build those. Wear and tear, and I'm almost at the end of my list, and I got one more after this. Wear and tear, please copy, cut, and paste that into Madden immediately. It is not in the beta, but if there's a way to get this in Madden 25, give it to me. I know we haven't played with it. Hopefully it's not crazy overpowering, but hopefully it is a more realistic wear and tear fatigue system, not like what we have in Madden right now, where you get to week 16 or 17 and 3 plays in, all your players are dark yellow, and you're like, well, wait, why? That doesn't make sense. Or you have a bye week and everybody becomes 10% less dumber. It's just like, what are we doing over here, Madden? I love this wear and tear system. If your player has a bum ankle and you start him and you play him, he's going to get hurt really bad, or he's going to have his attributes really affected, as he should. Your quarterback keeps taking sacks on his right side, and he's a right-handed quarterback. He's not going to be able to throw the ball as accurate or as deep. I absolutely love everything I'm hearing about this. It's going to make you managing your team, building your team completely different. Please, 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 for the love of everything, get this in Madden.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It just kind of came to me talking about the wear and tear. Here you are. You have a quarterback or running back or whatever, a player that has expressed his concern about all the stuff that we just talked about, and possibly could be entering the portal because you're not using him. All of a sudden, he starts getting a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
a little wear and tear on his body. So you're gonna have to make the decision.
Now, do
like,
you play him and he's going to get hurt? Or do you sit him and he leaves, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's so many integral things that you're gonna have to process, and to me, that makes it so interesting and makes it more realistic to be a coach, because you realistically in real life you have to contemplate these things. You have that discussion with the player, like, hey, look, you're kind of bummed up right now. Are you going to go ahead and sit out, or let's talk about this. So real life coaches have to deal with all these things, and they've talked about, they interview these coaches, they went through these processes, and now you're seeing them actually incorporate it into a game where it makes you have to make real choices, and you may make a choice and it may end up not being the right one, but it kind of forces you to make a choice of what you're going to do. It's really, really interesting.
The last one is, it is completely customizable, which is awesome. Everything from team builder, and you can build custom teams to put in here, to everything. The schedules, the conference alignments, the conference rules, the playoffs, how many teams are in the playoffs. It's all here. And I think that is just going to give us such a flair for online Dynasty. We're going to see so many different versions of this. And even if you are one of these maniacs, no pun intended, that want to play in 4 and 5 different dynasties, they're all going to feel completely different. There's not going to be anything that feels remotely the same. Right now, if you're in Madden, you either got to go find a league that has completely different rules, which those are fairly few and far between, or the only difference you're going to get is go play with a different team, and you're going to build it slightly different, but it is sort of what it is, whereas these are all going to feel completely different. How do you plan on approaching the customization for Online Dynasty and the Deuce?
Well, I've been looking at trying to get, because I want to maximize the opportunity to the owners to have a real fair chance to actually get into the playoff system. I think if you only have one conference, then you're only going to have a couple guys from the conference get to go to the playoffs. So kind of spreading that out. I know some had expressed interest about, making sure to try to keep this one in that conference because, they got this rivalry. I think from what we were reading and what we saw, like, say, for instance, Tennessee versus Alabama, that game is always going to happen. No matter if they are out of the conference or in the conference, that game is going to be it's an interlocked game that's going to happen no matter what conference they're in, because they're big rivals, and they have they have these games kind of like Texas and Oklahoma, where they're kind of playing for bragging rights and stuff. So those games are always going to happen. I think like I said though, from the approach for me is, since we've got currently right now we don't have 32 guys, but we have 27 guys. No, we got 9 guys. Yeah, we got 29 guys. So we got 29 guys right now, and there's a couple others that are expressing interest. But how do we maximize giving each one of these guys an opportunity to not only win a conference spread out, but also give ample opportunity for playoff chances, for the dynasty, kind of like you have in Madden. You have the playoff slots. You get your conference winners or your division winners. They get the nod to go to the playoffs. Then you have your wild card. You kind of want to have that because I think that opens up more excitement for the league, having guys fighting for playoff spots rather than just the system that it is now. If you have 20 guys in one conference with a north and a south,
yeah,
and those top 2 get to the playoffs, then you got a lot of guys kind of sitting around.
And nobody wants to play the CPU in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. So, we want to maximize that to where we got mostly humans in the playoffs. And so I've kind of threw out a rough sketch of kind of what the 4 conferences would look like, kind of keeping the name of the more popular ones, kind of put teams in there. And I think just the customization of being able to do that, I think they're giving us the tool to maximize that. From what I've read, what I've seen, there's going to be different ways that we can build this together. And then, say we do 2 seasons, and all of a sudden it's like, maybe we'll switch around some stuff. Maybe we'll put this guy over here in that conference, and maybe we could do that. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but I really think that there's
we're going to find out.
I think there's a lot of options, and I just think it's really neat to have a game that they're developing, giving options to the players like they have and like they're talking about, that it lets you have a little bit more of your own character in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a cookie cutter type of thing. And then on top of that, then they've got the team builder. If you wanted to take 16 teams and replace them with team builder teams, you can do that. And I just think it's a long time coming. Shame on Madden. They should have been doing stuff like this a long time ago. There was over 10 years, a decade, that we didn't have this game. No in-depth thing.
I think we both know it just isn't physically possible. NFL's never going to let them pause, and the development time is too small and too short. And so I still stand by. It's just no time to physically do this kind of stuff with Madden. It's just not possible.
Yeah, and to be fair, like college football, they've had a couple years to actually kind of put it together, because of this kind of came together when they
3 years, I think.
Yeah, went through, and they kind of had the green light to start things and stuff. So they immediately pretty much started getting into building this game from kind of the ground up. So, but I have to give them props, man. Kudos to them for. I haven't even got the game yet, and I'm already giving them kudos. Just from a presentation standpoint, man, they've knocked it out of the park. I mean, it has brought nothing but excitement. If you look at social media, or if you look at any videos that they put out, man, you could probably count the negative comments on hand. Everybody is excited about this. That has any kind of knowledge of sports games or NCAA from the past or whatever. Man, there is just a buzz of excitement.
Yeah, look, so much excitement. I think it will just bleed off into Madden, even though there's nothing to really be excited about with Madden, but that excitement will bleed over. I will say, if there is the major critique, and people way smarter than me have probably great reasons of why, I don't understand why every mode except for Online Dynasty is crossplay. So hopefully they'll get that back for the next game, but that totally does suck, especially since Madden has crossplay. It just sucks because it does limit the audience, and to be able to have games in 2024, 25, whatever, as we move on here, that are for all platforms, just makes the most sense. So put a bow on this thing. I think we've talked about all the points, hit all the points. There's tons of stuff. Again, if you want to be read to, there are videos out there that'll read to you. If you want guys that'll, tell you every minute detail, then there's tons of stuff out there. But hopefully we hit all the main parts for the Online Dynasties. And now we're just waiting to get this game in hand in less than 15 days, something like that.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the MVP bundle yesterday, and I think it said 11 days on. So I think you get the game access in 11 days. So, man, I'm excited. I'm really ready to get the game in hand, so we can kind of finalize like rules and different things that try to accomplish in the Dynasty. I know I've kind of got like a big idea, like what we kind of want to do, and we've talked back and forth, and but again, it's just going to come down to having to get on-hand experience with the game, see how it plays.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's going to be something different than we've experienced. So definitely got to get some time with it. But I'm looking forward to getting in it. I think one of the things we'll do to kind of get everybody into it, we'll have like a when the game first comes out, everybody gets the game. We're just going to have like a little playoff tournament. Guys are going to take some teams, play each other in a playoff tournament, and just kind of get to experience the game, how it feels. And then maybe we can start seeing like, okay, some of these things, guys doing this thing and it works like 100% of the time. Oh, we're going to have to do something about that.
And give you a chance for updates too.
Yeah, exactly. Because they know there's going to be within 72 hours or so, they're going to bring in some kind of update for them. And those are always scary when you start a franchise or Dynasty or whatever, So, yeah, I mean, you couldn't put any bigger bow on this just to say, just get the game and let's get into it and start enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to add a lot of excitement to our community. And I'm really excited to see the content, not only from within the community, but on YouTube, Twitch, whatever. There's going to be so much opportunity to make content that are going to get people engaged. And that's always a good thing. And when you see that engagement, I think we're going to see skyrocketing numbers, records being broken when this game drops. Hopefully that bleeds over into Madden, and those developers have the tools that they need necessarily to give us this style of franchise. Because as somebody said, this is the online franchise dynasty, whatever mode that sports gamers deserve. And in 2025, with the hardware that we have, we're finally getting something. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with Maniac, and I thank you, Maniac, on the 4th of July, taking some time to do this. We still took an hour to get through it, but lots of really good stuff, lots of fun stuff. And so 80,000 word blog you can go read. Tons of creators out there. Make sure that you support them. And if you've liked this content and like hanging out with Maniac and I here at Grown Folks is an online community of leagues, clans. If you play it, we got a group that plays it, with the hub being Madden, NCAA, and of course shooters like PUBG and Call of Duty. Come check us out. If you're over 18 and you're looking for a group of adults that enjoy the hobby of gaming like you do, come check us out. And if you're looking for Madden content, if you're looking for NCAA content, shooter content, mainly Warzone and PUBG, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, and hit the like button on here. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.
Smash that like and subscribe.